left, right.
Yo, what is up? Thank you for joining us on episode 113. This episode happens to be about the 4th of July and what some of the best barbecuing and just party ideas are for the holiday. So I hope you're catching this in time. If not, maybe you're catching it afterwards. And to that, I hope you use some of this advice or you did some of these things. Either way, let me know what you think. Let me know what we missed. And I will see you on the other end. This is SipTalk. Grab a drink and enjoy.
Of course, it's good.
Cheers.
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 All right. So look, James, we are live. This is episode 113 of Sip Talk podcast. My name is Justin DiGiulio. I am your host, joined by James, the Bosnator Boswell. I'm in my basement in New Jersey, just outside Manhattan. James is in sunny South Carolina. What are you drinking down there?
Same as always, going with the Bush Ice.
Bush Ice and?
Bush Ice.
Oh, that's it. All right.
I've got boxed wine, but after hauling sod around for almost an hour, I want something that's kind of light and refreshing.
You know what? I realize my mic is not plugged in. I got kind of fly by the... let me get my mic plugged in. Maybe my audio will get a little bit better for... Oh, shit. Who knows?
That's better.
Is it better? It's close to my face, but I don't think it's actually on or plugged in. So we'll...
No, I notice a big difference. And like tap the mic.
How about now?
Yeah, but like just tap.
We'll...
Now we're gonna get nothing.
We'll get this tuned up.
There we go. That's better. Okay. So you want to introduce the topic?
Oh shit! I can't hear you. All right, guys, hang tight. Microphone.
Can you?
Say
Are
something.
you having a problem hearing me still?
Please.
Test. Hear me? Anything?
I can't hear you, James. That's not good. Hang on.
Rosh, can you hear me?
Hang on. All right. Sorry, guys, for the technical difficulties. I can't hear James. Apparently, he can hear me. All right, go ahead. I think I got it set.
Are we better now?
We are. How's my voice?
Yeah, it's good.
All right. Well, hopefully this mic is picking me up. Rosh will let us know. So today,
Too close.
Ah, shit. All right. So it must be on. Here's what we're going to talk about today. We got a holiday weekend coming up. So I want to talk a little bit about holiday weekends, how to prepare, best ways to spend it, because a lot of times people make the wrong choices for holiday weekends and they end up wasting the weekend, or they just end up in misery and they come out the other end with a sunburn. And we're also going to talk about how to quit your job, because, you mentioned that. And I think there's some good pointers that we can give. I haven't had a whole lot of time to really put a lot of thought into my advice, but the advice that I have off the bat from being an employer is really something that I think people can take. So, as we get started, I want to acknowledge you got a little haircut.
Oh yeah.
You got a little trim.
Yeah.
Good.
I mean, I had it on Thursday, but I don't know what condition you were in to notice details on Thursday.
There was not many details being noticed. We came from that happy hour, so we just...
Hi, Maria.
We went in... what's up, Maria? We went in full force on Thursday. So, you have big plans for the holiday weekend?
I've got two of my best friends from college coming down on Sunday, and they're going to be here for a week.
Ooh, they're going to be there for the whole week.
Yep.
Very nice. So, are you going to start like fresh right on Saturday, guns blazing?
What do you mean?
Well, I'm pretty familiar with the holiday weekends, and I like to start with little morning cocktails and see where the day takes me. I kind of get going full force out in the sun, hanging by the pool. I think really the key.
What pool are you going to be hanging out at?
I'll be hopefully be at Adams in Long Island. But for me, being by a body of water is very important, and also being within close proximity to a grill. I would much rather grilled food than restaurant food. I know down there you got the grill in the backyard.
Yep.
I want to talk about grilling in just a minute because we can expand on that a decent amount. And you're not too far from the beach, so even if you don't cram the beach into the 4th of July weekend,
We're not going to do it over the weekend, but since I've got the week after the next week off, I'll take my two buddies out to the beach for a day.
yeah, you guys have this extended amount of time, so you don't have to cram it all into one.
Well, they're not even here on Saturday, so
Oh, they're not coming in on Saturday.
no, they land like Sunday afternoon.
You'll have to get started on your own then. So look, so here's my thinking. I was in the elevator with the super today, and I said, "Hey man, what are your plans for the holiday weekend?" And he said, "Well, my family wants to go to the beach. I want to go to the lake." And I was like, "Dude, you got to go to the lake. You got to go to the lake."
Why?
Well, I'm thinking if you're at a lake, you either have a campsite or a house right on shore, or you're on a boat, so you can get back and forth from the shore pretty easy. If you're at the ocean on the beach, because I mean, you're probably going to the ocean beach, right? Like somewhere on Long Island or down the Jersey Shore. You gotta you're just sitting in the ocean dirt, right? Like you're just sitting in the special sea dirt, and you have to come prepared, otherwise it's really gonna suck. My thinking about the beaches in New York is that you have to bring a cooler full of food. You got to bring cold drinks. The food can't be something that you have to heat, because there's no beaches around New York City where you can set a barbecue and grill up. So what are you going to the beach with that you're going to spend 4, 5, 6 hours at the beach and be content? A Frisbee, cold hot dogs.
There's like beach games you can like do bocce or ladder ball.
Which you have to pack with you and carry from the car all the way out to the beach, along with
what
everything
what
else.
if you do like a night at a hotel on the beach?
Okay, that's not a bad idea, but now
So-
you're upping the ante and upping the costs because you got the
Yeah.
hotel cost.
MJ says avoid the beach on the holiday, too crowded. I think
What?
we're going to agree there,
And that's the other thing, is beaches are crowded as shit. And then you
especially on 4th of July weekend. What weekend's going to be busier?
then you lay your blanket down in the ocean dirt, and it just constantly gets covered with dirt.
It's called sand.
Well, yeah, but it's just dirt from the ocean.
No, it's much coarser and less dirty.
I've never left the beach feeling clean. Never left the beach not wanting a shower. I think if I just walked into the woods and rolled around on the ground, I'd probably feel cleaner than having
I think
sand
that the
up my ass
beaches,
crack.
I think that lake water is gross. I hate lakes. Lakes creep me out, man.
Really?
Yeah.
I like being on a boat and being by
Well,
the
yeah,
house.
but you could be at a boat anywhere. Like you don't have, but like for me, lakes are creepy because I don't know, something about like the thermocline where like the first 3 to 5 feet of water is a comfortable temperature, and then all of a sudden it gets cold. Like that really flips me out, man. And I, for whatever reason, like I don't like not knowing what's underneath me.
But
So
it's the
if
same in the ocean.
No, in the ocean it's different because I know what's underneath me. It's just sand. I don't have to worry about like what's going to be brushing up against my leg. Like
Well,
even if I'm in, even if I'm
sharks, there's not sharks in lakes.
You know what? You know how many people die from shark attacks every single year?
But if you yes, a very small percentage of the total population. But if you compare that to the population of people that go into the ocean water, that number is much higher.
Yeah, more people die on lakes than they do from shark attacks.
That's probably very likely, but still no sharks in the lake. I'm not worried about drowning in a lake. I'm worried about getting my leg bitten off by a shark.
I'm not worried about sharks at all. And like even when I'm in the ocean in water way above my head, I still know what's underneath me. It doesn't bother me. Whereas with a lake, there's all sorts of crap on a lake bed that scares me. Don't ask me why. It's not particularly rational, but I do not like lakes.
Well, typically lakes are a bit browner, I guess, when
Yeah.
it comes to the water. That I will definitely give you. Most lakes are not super crystal clear, and the light doesn't permeate as well, so you can't see quite as far. Yeah,
And
but
also,
also
like,
with the ocean, it gets gradually deeper. So most people aren't hanging out in the shore in a lake because that's kind of the grossest part of the lake, the
mhm,
silkiest, where like the trees are, and there's just shit that's in the water.
yep.
So I feel you on that, and also it depends on the lake, but
Also, there's no waves on a lake. Like, I like being in the ocean and like battling the waves and being like bodyboarding or even just like swimming and like ducking under waves. You're not going to get that on a lake.
yeah, but for me, it's not about being in the water. It's about everything else. So it's about barbecuing. It's about being able to drink and have some fun and not be far from like a bathroom. Like ideally, you don't have to pee in the water. I don't have an issue really with that. But
Well, why not just go to a pool then?
what the pool would be, it's I have your beach, pool, or lake, and but to me, the beach isn't a great option, and the fact that you can't really grill on any beaches. Like that's not even an option at almost every beach in the New York City and surrounding area. You can't grill. To me, that's kind of really shitty. And
Well,
then
it makes a lot of sense though.
sure it does, but let the people
If you let people grill on the beach is going to be trashed so quickly.
yeah, I will give you that aspect of. I was just saying, kind of the general population doing dumb shit on the beach is the reason why you know we can't grill on the beach. Um, and people like I guess leaving food and just leaving garbage on the beach, but people still do that already.
Yeah, but you're by having the rule in place that you can't grill, it at least cuts a lot of the top off of what could be garbage
Yes,
because you've got less people. Like if people aren't bringing things, that's less things for them to leave behind.
yes, I agree with you there. Grilling for me on the beach though isn't the biggest pain in the ass because uh, you're not grilling all day anyways.
Yeah.
What you most likely are doing all day is drinking in the sun. And something that is, I don't know what it's like on James Island now. James Island is one of the beaches,
Folly
one of
Beach.
the islands near James, which has Folly Beach. Folly Beach, when I lived there, you could drink on, but
Not anymore.
most of the beaches you can't drink at, which to me is like it's it's just like a we did this to ourselves type of thing, and who's really winning here? Who's winning?
Well, so the reason why they banned drinking on Folly Beach, which was the last bastion of freedom for beach drinking in the Charleston area, and this was probably 5 or 6 years ago. I think it was actually on a July 4th weekend, but it might have also been a Memorial Day weekend, but one of the two. Um, there was like a whole bunch of people from out of town, like a huge group of people that were drinking all day, and it ended up turning into like just a brawl with some locals or something. And it was like so big that the police had trouble being able to even break it up.
A giant brawl between locals and out of towners on the beach, fueled by
Yeah,
alcohol.
yeah. I want to look this up to see because
Yeah, I'd like some more details on that. But my thinking is really one. Those people probably did need to duke it out, right? Like, I'm not entirely against the fact.
2012. Wow,
I was well, I didn't live there then. Yeah, I knew it was after I left. I was pretty sure that they got rid of the beach drinking. But who's
between
winning?
3,000 and 4,000 people crowded into a 75-foot by 30-foot area when the brawl occurred. 3 or 4,000 people into an area. Like, think about how tightly packed that is.
Yeah.
It was.
But it feels like to me people who are wanting to fight. I feel like there's an easy out, and it's just you walk away from the bullshit that's happening. But read me read the headline at least because I'm really curious.
At least 7 arrested after large holiday brawl on Folly Beach. Between between 3 and 4,000 people crowd into a 75-foot by 30-foot area. And the crowd consisted of people in their 20s who had arrived in tour buses and brought a DJ with them.
Nice. Okay. Do we know what caused the brawl? Was it bad music?
I would have to think something.
Catalyzed by alcohol.
I'm looking up the video now.
All right. Well, you got to narrate what you're doing a little bit because
Well,
it's nice to watch your face light
I
up
don't know.
while you choose
I
one
can't
window.
find. No. It's
All right. Well, then.
But the point is, like, you can't even do it on Folly Beach anymore because non-local people ruined a good thing.
Well, there's a comment here from MJ saying, "Make friends with people who have beach houses. That's the best option." Yes, and
We did that.
We did do that, and that worked out very well for us. But that was also back when you could drink at the beach. We'd go hang at the beach, drink for a little while. Now it's not that you can't drink at the beach, but you're basically bringing contraband to the beach, and you have to hide the fact that you're drinking at the beach, and that's where it gets
I
very
think
frustrating.
you can still pull it off on Folly Beach as long as you don't draw attention to yourself. But like, you can't, like, you've got to have it in like nondescript containers. So like, probably beer would be out because you're gonna have to have cans of beer or something.
Or
But
you
if you're to have,
decant it, yeah.
yeah. But if you made like cocktails ahead of time and then poured them into like a thermos or something, and then just poured that into a solo cup, you'd probably be fine. As long as you're not making an ass out of yourself, no one's going to bother you.
But now you've ruined the beach for many, many people because I don't want to sit at the beach and drink fucking Kool-Aid. I don't know what else you drink at the beach. I'm drinking Kool-Aid and I'm going to chill in the sun, take a little nap, go for a swim, maybe play some goofy beach games that don't exist anywhere in reality outside of the shitty sports objects that they sell you at beach stores. And I'm going to drink a little more, take a nap, get back in the water, hopefully dry off in the sun a little bit, and then I'm out. But it mostly revolves around drinking and relaxing. To me, it's not really relaxing to drink Kool-Aid or drink warm Pepsi at the beach and do the same, do the same activities. That's not fun. So, if they're really going to outlaw and then enforce the no drinking at the beach, it's lost all its allure.
So what you're really saying is that you can't have fun without alcohol.
100%. You're taking somebody who wants to relax and have some drinks at the beach, and you're saying, yeah, we're not interested in you doing that here.
I'll tell you, it hasn't really hurt Folly Beach all that much. They still get a ton of people there.
That sounds miserable. Just baking under the sun with no alcohol on your day off. That's not, to me, doesn't sound fun. I'm sure there's a lot of people who drink a lot less in the regular everyday life than I do that don't mind sitting at the beach. I don't even know what you would bring to drink at the beach. What are non-alcoholic drinks that you would bring to the beach? Orange juice?
Lemonade? I
guess lemonade, yeah. That sounds boring as fuck.
Oh, lemonade's pretty good.
You know what happened to me today getting on the train. So basically there's no mask. There's no mask policies here in there's no mask policies pretty much throughout New York City, and you can go in stores without wearing a mask. So I walk through the Penn Station today. I don't have a mask on. I walk down the stairs to get on the train. I reach in my bag to grab the mask, and I hear this commotion. I'm not thinking anything of it. I'm like, all right, better get on the train and avoid this. So I get on the train. I walk up. I'm putting my mask on, and I hear this lady shouting, "White shirt, khaki shorts, white shirt, khaki shorts. Stop right there." So I turn around as I'm, attaching the mask to my ears, and she's like, "You need a mask." And I was like, just kind of pointed to my face.
Is this a cop?
It was one of the conductors, or somebody who works on the train, freaking out about the mask thing. I was thinking like, so look, one, I would have had the mask on if I wasn't trying to avoid the commotion by the fact that you saw me walking towards the train on the platform and started freaking out, even though you were 40 feet away from me. Okay. And then created all this commotion, kind of pushing people out of the way. Well, she got on ahead of them to reprimand me about wearing a mask. I'm putting the mask on, but wearing the mask off of the train, not wearing a mask off of the train is perfectly fine. When you cross the threshold or have intent to cross the threshold of the train, it becomes a felony. And the woman was mad. She was really pissed, and she was loud and boisterous as fuck. And all week long, I've been hearing these all week. I mean, it's Monday, but even it's Tuesday. The end of last week, I was hearing these messages on the train about how you needed to be wearing a mask. They're still enforcing the mask rules. and I thought I felt bad for them because I felt like I get it, it's your job, but like you're the only people around you enforcing this mask rule. Nobody else is, and do you really care that much? Like you get it, it's the rule, but it's your choice as the conductor whether you want to be a dick to everybody.
I don't know.
Does that make
Well,
sense?
I want to know from chat what their plans are for the holiday weekend, and I want to acknowledge someone I haven't seen before, Emma McGodrick, and I'm liking how Maria's agreeing with everything, and also cheers to 5 Mile.
Yeah. So James wants to know if you guys are watching us live, what your 4th of July weekend plans are. Are you going to the beach? Are you going to the pool? You going to hit the lake? So look, let's talk about grilling real quick. My thinking, 4th of July, as an American, pretty simple. You got hamburgers, hot dogs, right? I think you can't go wrong with those.
Steaks.
Then you can get it into steaks, right? Like now,
Ribs.
you gotta be careful when you grill a steak because hamburgers and hot dogs are pretty quick. You kind of roll the hot dog over a little bit, just warm it up. They're pre-cooked. Hamburgers, you can cook those relatively quick.
And also, it's tough to overcook a hamburger.
Yes, I mean you can cook the hell out of it, but at a certain point, you're going to be like, all right, this is getting a bit over.
There's a lot of error range with the hamburger.
Exactly. But with a steak, the thicker the steak is, the more difficult it is to cook and monitor the temperature. And if you want to get technical and like put a thermometer in it or like be squeezing your steak and kind of doing this, this type of thing, which doesn't make any sense to me. It's all the same.
Yeah, you got to learn how to temp a steak, but also like with the grill, it's a lot harder to judge what the temperature is coming off of it.
Yes, that's the temperature coming up from the flames, and then if you close the grill and you walk away for for 5 minutes, even you could come back and the entire thing could have been in flames, and then everything is just covered in black. So to me, steaks are something you have to be careful cooking. But if you've got a little bit of practice and you don't have 1,000 other things going on, definitely go for the steaks. Go for the ribs. Ribs definitely could be more tricky. You have to have a little practice on those. What do you think would be the easiest steak to cook on the grill?
Probably ribeye because of all the fat in it. It'll help like soften it up a little bit if you overcook it a little.
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking, but then with the fat dripping, you run into this risk of excess flames. So that's the issue with a ribeye.
Yeah, I would think that New York strip would probably, since it's so lean, New York strip would be tough because like if you overcook it a little bit, you're really going to notice.
Yeah. You know what I've cooked before is a big Kazi here in the Facebook chat saying a tomahawk steak. Is a tomahawk steak the one that comes with the big bone sticking out? It's like a ribeye basically with a big bone sticking out of it.
Yeah, different from a T-bone because a T-bone is going to be half fillet and half New York strip. So you get like the two best cuts on a T-bone, but you got to deal with the bone.
Well, but the tomahawk is what basically the ribeye and the extended rib itself.
I think so.
Yeah, that's what I think it is too. We cooked those in the grill a while back. We were pretty hammered by the time we got the grill started, but they turned out all right. A little burnt, but at least you can stick that big bone outside of the grill and you can use that to kind of flip and turn it, which is
that's kind of cool.
It's really just more of like a party show trick, it's like savoring,
which is the dumbest thing ever.
I enjoy savoring the champagne.
Why would you do that when you can just open it like normal and enjoy the entire bottle of champagne?
Well, I don't think you lose that much if you savor it really and then start pouring right away. Like it's one thing if you shake it first, but really all you're doing is you're just kind of going like this, and then it opens up, and you lose a little of the glass on the top. Cheers.
I think it's a really dumb idea to me. That's something that tells me that you care much more about showmanship than booze.
Well, it depends. I mean, it depends on the bottle, but I don't think you're losing that much. If you shake it first, you're going to lose a shit ton of the champagne. But if you just simply savor the top of the bottle, you're losing a drop. You're losing a drop, and it looks cool.
I'm trying to come up with an analogy as to why I hate savoring so much.
Well, I'm curious why you hate it so much. It's literally just a show trick, and it looks cool.
Right. But to me, it's something that one anybody can do. It's not like it requires any skill.
That is very true. So you can't be too showboaty about the fact when you do it, because anybody else who's done it or knows how to do it around you is going to be like, all right, that's not as cool as you're playing it off to be.
Right. So it's
Not that
like
cool.
you're trying to make something that's incredibly easy to do look difficult to show off, while at the same time risking ruining a decent bottle of champagne. And even best case scenario, you're opening it in such a way that's going to cause it to lose more fizz and potentially more wine than if you just took like a bar rag and slowly twisted it off, and then you keep all of everything inside the bottle.
So for those of you who don't know what sabering is, I'll be a bit more explicit about it, but you basically have a large knife and you run, you got to peel the label off the wine so you're not running it along the label of the wine, and you're supposed to find the seam, ideally, of the bottle, and then you just, in one kind of swift motion, you go up the bottle of wine, and you take you catch the rim of the bottle, and it pops off.
Yeah, to me, it's one of those ones where like it's something that unclassy people think is classy.
But I don't think it's necessarily unclassy. I just don't think it's super classy. Does that make sense? I don't think it should be a real show off move. It should just be a cool move that you do.
You just
It's like, you know what?
that
No, I
sentence makes
got
no
it.
sense.
No, I got it for you. It's like blowing smoke rings. Like, it's cool if you can blow a smoke ring. But I see people sit there and smoke 7 cigarettes trying to blow smoke rings, waiting for somebody to say, wow, that's really cool. And they just wait for somebody to say, wow, that's really cool. Being able to blow a smoke ring and blowing one here or there, cool. But spending all night trying to get people's attention by blowing smoke rings is obnoxious.
Okay, yeah, you're kind of close there. Where like I look at sabering as like I could do this the normal way, but I'm not enough of the center of attention right now that I need everybody to be looking at me because I'm so important that this one little trick that I know deserves everyone to stop what they're doing.
Well, when you know a lot of tricks, it's just kind of part of the shuffle there.
Yeah, if you know a lot of tricks, then pick the better ones to do.
All right.
I guess my whole thing is I hate attention seeking.
Yes, I've done it before, but not as a kind of center of attention. Just be like, all right, we're opening a new bottle. Let's pop it off this way.
Also, the chat's really agreeing with me. Both Maria's on board with everything I'm saying.
James is right. James is right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to fly Maria down here.
Yeah. She can cheer.
Yeah.
All right. So look, you're not a seafood fan. But nope. I'm gonna address the grilling of seafood. I think it's really dangerous. I'm all for having seafood, especially if you are somewhere near the sea, because it's summertime. People are catching fish. However, grilling seafood is really tough, and if you're not good at it, you're just gonna make really shitty seafood, like overcooked shrimp that are just tough, and it's really difficult. They're dry. That's not cool. Grilling crab legs, like you really got to stay on top of that. Otherwise, you just dry them out. And grilling fish can be, I like a crispy fish. It's got to be crispy somehow. So what happens is people end up just drying it out. Or they keep it in a bag and they just give you this wet, mushy fish where you got to pick the bones out of. So if you're good at grilling fish, grill away. Not just fish. You're good at grilling seafood, grill away. If you're not, maybe avoid doing it if you're hosting a whole bunch of people, because it's got to be something that you got to be good at. I also think that 4th of July is too early for corn on the cob. For me, I think a corn on the cob is a seasonal vegetable. I like to eat it in August. Anytime really before August feels a bit funny to me.
Well, it depends on where you live, because in the Northeast, yeah, late August, early fall is when corn is kind of in season. But if you live down here where it's been 80 degrees for the last 3 months, corn might be in season now. I don't know. I don't really buy corn on the cob, but it really depends on where you live. So we both grew up in upstate New York, where late August is when you get fresh corn on the cob.
I one time, and this didn't work at all, but I decided I was going to eat only seasonal vegetables and fruits, and try to eat locally and eat seasonal. And one, I couldn't figure it out anymore because it's been. I mean, you used to only be able to get strawberries at a certain time of year. You used to
Like
only be
2
able to
months
get.
a year, maybe.
Yeah, you only used to be able to get watermelon, and it came with seeds in it. Only a month or two out of the year. Now, the transit for produce is going around the world all the time, and you can get avocados if you live in Alaska. And they were picked yesterday.
Yeah, you're
So,
probably paying $10 an avocado.
I mean, the avocado prices are wild, very wildly. And I recently learned that the town that farms avocados, or the area in Mexico that farms avocados, is heavily run by the cartel. Like, it's really a fucking war zone.
Yeah, because avocados outside of drugs are probably the most profitable crop in Mexico.
Yeah, isn't that wild? Just to think that you got blood on your hands eating your damn
Yeah.
avocados.
Yeah, screw blood diamonds. It's now blood avocados.
Yeah, man. All right. We got to move on, but let's see. So I hit hamburgers. Oh, are you a cheese? So I think when you're grilling outside, it's you can't go too above and beyond. Like, you start chopping up onions, maybe some tomatoes. Again, tomatoes very seasonal. Some lettuce, but you can't get too complicated with it because you're outside, you're having people over. It can't be too much. You want to be able to enjoy yourself and relax a little bit while you're cooking. So the simpler you can make it, really, the better. I had a question for you though. Are you a cheese guy on your burgers?
Generally, no.
Why not?
I don't know. I feel like it just kind of it doesn't fit. I like to have like lettuce and onion and pickles and stuff on my burger, but cheese for me, it's just like there's a texture thing there. No, like some cheddar cheese on burgers are really good.
A good, not a huge slice of it, but a nice thick piece of cheddar that's not falling off the burger. I don't like a messy burger. But yeah, typically I'm a hamburger guy. When I get sandwiches in the store, I don't usually get cheese on it because it changes the texture of the sandwich for me. But the issue with putting cheese on it is when somebody serves you that burger and they close it, then you got to open it back up, and the cheese is kind of like the glue of the bun.
Mm-hmm.
So when somebody serves you a cheeseburger and they close it on you, then you're fucked because then you can't get the relish, you can't get the mustard and the ketchup on there. So that's my issue with cheese and then usually it's just melted off the sides. You want that cheese on top of the burger, not on the side of the burger. So I'm not a big cheeseburger guy off the grill.
5 Mile says the cheese is too attention seeking. I'm loving chat tonight.
Yeah, man, that Munster cheese is really the winner there. But I had a burger from a restaurant the other day. I wanted to try the place out because our office is moving, and I've been walking by it. I walk by it probably 2 or 3 times a day because I go to the bank a bunch of times. And there was 2 burgers, there was 2 patties, there was cheese, there was bacon, there was like 2 different types of sauce, and there was peppers, which I didn't realize there was 2 burger.
So the
patties.
burger's probably like this high.
I didn't realize there were 2. Well, and then it was also wrapped, and they like smushed it as they wrapped it. So I was like, was the person mad when they made this burger?
Well, did you get a smash burger?
No, I didn't get. Do they smash the burger?
Take a guess.
I don't know. That seems like a fucked up way to do a hamburger, but whatever. Either way, it made me think that like the more you add on to a burger, like not necessarily the better. Now, it's a restaurant burger and the burger where you're outside eating off a paper plate. Those are different things. One, you got a table, you can eat a little more civilized. One, like you got the wind to worry about. But
I always like sliders, man. Like like burgers that you can have in like 2 bites.
Sliders are cool, but my thinking is that the more you put on a burger, the more difficult it becomes. And then you just if you have like an egg, an avocado, bacon, cheese, sauce, onions, caramelized onions, like it just gets
caramelized onions are good.
Sure, but not with 7 other things, right? Like True. The burger I had, I just thought there was too much on it, and I didn't get to appreciate anything because I was just trying to eat the burger. And
it sounds to me like one of those cartoon sandwiches that's like the cartoon is like this big and the character just like takes like a giant bite out of it, where like the sandwich is as high as the character's head and they somehow managed to eat it.
What was that guy? Wimpy? Was that the guy from Popeyes? The guy that liked hamburgers? His name was Wimpy, I think. I could be wrong. I don't have any idea. But there was a guy in the old cartoons. Somebody will tell us, I'm sure, in the chat. The guy that used to eat the hamburgers. I think it was Wimpy from Popeyes.
Yeah, there's definitely a character.
All right, so look, I'm ready to talk about quitting.
No, that's the end of the cast, boys.
Yeah, no, we're not going to quit like that. We're not going to quit like that.
Yo,
We're not quitters.
Yo, you're clipping on your mic, dude.
Ah, shit. I think I'm too close to it. Something's going on. I don't know what's going on though. But look, we're not quitters. We're champions, and we're going to quit right. So, quitting is difficult. With this transition, I've seen a handful of agents leave, and my goal is to provide the best direction I possibly can for the agents that have been in my charge. And if their mind is made up to leave, I fully respect that. But I also want to help point them in the best direction. And I see people making decisions or following other people oftentimes that I know are not good for them. And I've seen enough people quit one company and move to another and not find success. And I spent enough time around the people that I've worked with that I feel like there's some decent advice that I can provide for them in quitting.
Before we get to that, let's just real quick touch on MJ's comment about fireworks, and then we'll talk about quitting. So that way, when
First
you
of
quit,
all,
there's fireworks.
Fireworks are legal. Fireworks are basically legal these days. Yet you can't have a fucking Michelob Ultra while you sit in the ocean dirt.
Well, yeah, and if you look at like the beach after 4th of July, it's always trash from people leaving their fireworks garbage behind.
Yeah, you can light off explosives at the beach, but you can't have a fucking glass of wine. Get the fuck out of here. You did this, people.
Well, just wait until people cause a brawl with fireworks.
Wimps. God. That pisses me off.
Do you buy fireworks?
No, but I want to. What
do you mean you want to? They're legal.
Well, I don't really want to.
So which is it?
I like the idea. I like the idea. I like the idea of driving fast, but I don't like the idea of burning that much gas. Not because I'm worried about the cost of gas. I just hate filling up gas. That's.
So you like the idea of fireworks, but not paying for them?
Well, it's just not. You and I overdid the fireworks when we were kids.
Yeah, we got that out in middle school.
It's not. It's not as much fun anymore. I don't know. And then when you're lighting the fireworks, you're not enjoying the show. I mean, fireworks for me are kind of, I don't know, almost like porn. Yeah, it's supposed to be something a bit taboo. And it doesn't have to be taboo, but there has to be a taboo element to it. But when everybody and their brothers got their hands on it, I'm like, yeah, this is not cool. I don't need to do the fireworks with you guys. That's not.
Yeah, for me, fireworks were really cool when I was a kid. And then, I don't know, as soon as I became an adult, I stopped caring about them. The year that I worked for the Charleston Battery, well, that's what you were still here. I would work all their games, and I would be there after the game ended. And a lot of times they'd have fireworks after the game. And I wouldn't even bother. I'd hear them in the background. I was like, oh, there's fireworks. All right, cool. I'm going to go back and do something else now.
Yeah, it's not there for me anymore. And I don't know. But speaking of fireworks, speaking of celebrating, let's get back into quitting.
Yeah. So you quit with. So what you do is you bring in fireworks.
Yeah, you could bring in some. I hate ragging on Adam. I don't actually hate it, but we were talking about having fireworks for 4th of July weekend. I was like, oh yeah, there's all these stores in Jersey that are selling fireworks. But I don't know if I'm really into it. He goes, well, we at least got to get some sparklers.
What?
I go,
the thing that they give 5-year-olds?
What are you, 7?
Yeah, you give sparklers to 5-year-olds that way they can feel like they're participating.
Sparklers are cool. Sparklers are cool if you're young.
Yeah, you might as well get some of those fire stakes or whatever.
I was thinking Roman candles, but then I instantly, and I was gonna say, and I almost said to him, you know what? At least we'll do some Roman candles instead. But then I realized that if we bought Roman candles, we would just be firing them at each other.
Of course.
And that's
What
not
else would you
good.
do with them?
Exactly. But I want to watch a ball of fire going into the air for when you can
Well,
aim that at one of your closest friends.
You just put on some goggles or whatever and go for it.
I mean, if you're going to shoot people with fireballs, like you want to shoot the people that are least likely to sue you. Like that's
Like 2 years ago, I was doing a soccer game at a downtown soccer field, and it was like the day before 4th of July, or maybe, yeah. And there's like projects right next to the field, and there were probably about like 30 or 40 kids from the projects out on the field next to us. We're trying to play a game, and they're just shooting like not just Roman candles. They've got like the mortars that have like the thing like a firework this
where you
big.
load it. Yeah, where
and
you
they're
load
loading
it.
it, and then they're aiming it at each other and stuff. And like we had to stop the game because like one of the goalkeepers almost got hit.
Oh God. Kazi from Facebook says we should cancel fireworks. And that's the thing, is that like fireworks are allowed, but having a fucking light beer at the beach is not allowed. Like that's the most bullshit thing I've ever heard.
Well, what you should really do is have like 15 light beers and then have some fireworks.
Yes, I agree with that. That's the better option. Light beer keeps you hydrated better than regular beer. Let's talk about quitting.
Okay.
Here's my advice on quitting. All right. You gotta give the employer a chance. All right. So chances are you're unhappy. Some of that's on you. That's my thinking, because the employer is not always going to know you're unhappy. So I think, and the employer wants happy people that work there. So you have the opportunity to make your workplace a bit better of a place. And I think you owe that duty. I mean, if you get hired somewhere and you're there for 3 days and you're like, this sucks, I'm out, that's fine. But if you've been at a place for 8 months or 3 years and you're like, nah, I'm not crazy about the vibe, or I don't like my supervisor, or I want more money, or I'm unhappy with my hours, you owe it to the business as well to bring up that issue. And I think a lot of people a lot of times don't do that, and the employer doesn't know they're unhappy. And then the person quits. And usually when people quit, they're a bit mad. Like they're a bit like jaded and pissed. Yet they never spoke up and they weren't clear with their demands or their lack of satisfaction. So I think there's a lot of that happened. And that's frustrating on both accounts.
Well, what about in the case where you as the employee make suggestions to your employer about things that you would like to have changed?
Very good point.
And we'll say, and for argument's sake, we'll say that they're reasonable suggestions, and you don't feel like enough effort's being made to act on that.
So you've made the suggestions. They may not know how serious you are, but
and then you give them time to try and implement.
Well, and that's where I think it reaches a certain point where you say, look, I asked for this, you weren't able to deliver, I'm going to consider looking at other options. And I think that's not a bad. You guys owe each other something, right? Like they want to keep you happy, you want to be happy. They want happy people that work there most of the time. And if they do nothing, then you're doing the right thing. What
about when like you have a better opportunity open up for yourself, and it really doesn't matter what your current employer does? That's
oftentimes when you're finding a better option, you're getting into it may not always be a better option.
So, well, let me put it this way.
So you have to do the point that I'm making is you got to do your homework on both accounts. You have to make sure it's a better option. And if you've been with your company for a year or so, you owe it to them to say, hey, this is what the competition's offering. And if they can't make that work, then they can't make that work. But rather than just jump ship into the unknown, where you might get fired within 30 or 60 or 90 days, whatever the state laws are of being there, where it's just not a good fit. There's a small opportunity to turn your own place around. And I've had people ask for things I just can't deliver on. And when they leave, I fully understand it. And I've had people ask for things that I wasn't, maybe I could have delivered on, but didn't. And when they leave, I'm like, oh, shit, that's on me. I should have done better on that. And if somebody gets a great offer, I've had people get offered easy 6-figure jobs out of my office when they were new real estate agents and weren't making that much money. And I'm like, that's a good move, man. Like you just got a good gig. Like that was a smart move. Definitely take that job. So I understand it from both sides of things. I feel like, any other scenarios you can think of? Because I have a couple in here.
Well, let's talk some do's and don'ts.
Okay. What would be a do outside of?
Let's break this up into two potential scenarios. One is you don't care about having any contact with your former employer or future necessarily in that industry.
In the industry.
Yeah, in that entire industry. So let's say you're working in, I don't know, restaurants, and you say, you know what? I don't want to work in restaurants anymore.
Okay. So let me just, on that subject, you also don't want to burn bridges.
Well, that's where I'm going with this is like,
Yeah.
When is it okay to burn bridges and when is it not okay to burn bridges?
I don't think it's ever okay to burn bridges. If you're moving on with your life, the employer's got to be understanding with that. And if they're not, that's on them, but you have to do the right things. You have to choose kind of the moral high ground. And even if it's just giving them 2 weeks notice, right? Like you work at a restaurant, it's a restaurant, that's.
Have you ever quit a job on the spot?
No, I don't think so.
I have.
Must have been really bad.
It was a hotel. I was a front desk supervisor. Within a week, I found out that upper management had been renting out rooms that they knew had bed bugs in them. Once I was able to confirm what I suspected, I quit the next day.
Yeah, that's.
And I burned some pretty big bridges on that one because I left a pretty big mess in my wake because the employee that had told me about this was like, yeah, you're not supposed to tell anybody about this. And so when I did some things, like let's say on a Sunday morning, I did some things on checkout to make some guests happy. Or like I gave them like $20 off their room because like the hotel had screwed up a couple of things. And I thought that $20 was more than fair.
Because they were really itchy.
No, not in that particular case, but it was like $20 it made the guests happy. And it wasn't like it was a huge amount for the hotel.
Yeah, fine.
And so the next day, the GM wanted to talk to me about me giving $20 off rooms or whatever. And like the night before, or maybe the night after I gave like those discounts, I found out I was able to confirm from another employee that like we had been doing this. Cause like what we had an Excel sheet that tracked all the like anytime a guest came down with a complaint.
Yeah, but you confirmed it.
Yeah. And so what I found was that like there were entries that were made for a certain date about bed bugs or whatever. And then somebody went and deleted them. And the reason I was able to figure this out was because there was like a gap in the Excels. So I was like, it went from row 400 to row 404. And I was like, someone was lazy and just deleted them without like merging it back up. Yeah. So I was like, yeah, somebody definitely deleted that to make it go away. So the manager wanted to chew me out for giving discounts. And I was like, before you say anything, this is what's been happening and I don't want to be a part of it. So thanks for the opportunity, but today's my last day. Goodbye.
Well, that's fair enough. You weren't on morally, you couldn't stand behind that company. And it was a new company for you. So that's,
I've been there for maybe 2 weeks.
That's not as bad as being somewhere for 8 months or 2 years. And I think there's a dismount that needs to happen with a certain amount of grace. And if you've been there for 2 years and you're unhappy, like that's not all on them, like that's
well, right.
But my thinking, one of my thoughts was there's somebody in management or a supervisor that kind of treats you like shit or is a bad apple or something like that. Now you might think, oh, they're part of the establishment. They're bedrock here and I have to leave because of them. But then my thought around that was maybe management is looking for some concrete reasons to push that person out. And if, that role, that person in that supervising or managerial role is compromising newer employees, maybe management wants to know about that. So it's a certain amount of diligence that you have to take when you're leaving somewhere. But I mean, I just think about being a good person and what I would want as an employee or as an employer. And a lot of times, some people just aren't going to be happy working for anybody. And they go from one place to the next, really critical of everything that's going on. And to those people, I was thinking, well, maybe you might want to consider opening your own business. I mean,
you're not going to succeed.
That's not always true. That's not always true. And some people think they know the inner workings of a business, and they're really unhappy with the business that they work for. And opening a business is attainable for them. Some, I know people who were bartenders who were unhappy running, working at the bar that they worked at, and they opened their own bar, own restaurant. That's how a lot of restaurant guys get started. They work in kitchens, or they work for restaurants, manage restaurants, and they're like, I could do this better. I could make a better menu. I could create better service. I could create a cooler atmosphere environment. I can make my staff happier than management is making me. I'm going to do it. And that's not a bad idea either. And I wanted to throw that out as a quitting option because, I guess 6 or 7 years ago, I decided to do that in the real estate world, and it worked out pretty well for me. So, it's not an impossible idea for some people. What else you want to hit in the do's and don'ts? Because we got about
I would say
8 minutes left here.
I would say try and be as gracious as possible if you're not looking to burn bridges. And just when you're giving your 2 weeks, explain, like, I don't think that you owe much of an explanation as to why. But be as gracious as possible. Thank the company for the opportunity, because you never know when you might have to come back to them.
Well, look at the merger that I'm working on now. That's coming into fruition this week. That's a company that we used to work with. And when we left, I said, thank you guys very much. We're going to open our doors as a brokerage, and I appreciate everything you guys, and they're happy to have us back. And now that we've actually grown without them, we bring a lot of value going back to them. So it actually worked out really well. But, in this business, a lot of brokers are very vicious and very cutthroat, and it's New York City. So people are very quick to tell you to go fuck yourself. So, none of that happened. And luckily we're in a really good.
And that would be my number one tip, is try and leave it so that the door would be open if you wanted to come back. If it's something that and I would say, even if you don't think that you want to come back, as long as you're not certain that you don't want to come back, leave the door open. Like a couple of years ago, I left a restaurant that I was working for what I thought was a better opportunity. It didn't work out. And I came back like a week later asking for my job back. And since I left on good terms, they welcomed me back and it worked out. But if I had just been like, this is all the stuff that you guys are doing wrong, and I'm out of here for some better place, then they would have said, well, how'd that better place work out for you? All right, cool. Go fuck yourself.
Exactly. A lot of times I have people leave very graciously, and I do say, thank you. I enjoyed working with you. Our door is always open. I wish you the best at the next place. Happy to be here as a resource. But if you're not finding what you're looking for, the door is still open. But yeah, you don't want to give people a laundry list of things that they should have corrected and you're unhappy with. But I do think that, if you're working there, before you just cut and run, that you try to, everywhere I go, I try to make the environment a better environment, buying the house and working constantly to make it a better place, that I want to be the employee or the person that's bringing that to the table, not the person that's just pissed off and not willing to put some of myself into an environment to make it better.
But I will say, so like with me changing jobs recently, where I've got 3 days left with my current job, like I've had a number of discussions with the partners at my firm since I put in my notice. And like, there's two factors here. One is there's a couple things that I think that the firm needs to change that I'm disappointed they haven't changed. And then there's also the fact that I've just got a better opportunity that I'm happy to pursue. And so in my notice that I gave to them, in the conversations subsequent to that notice, I haven't mentioned anything to my bosses about the things that I want them to change, because
it's not necessary. It's also too late, but it's not necessary.
So and the conversations that I've had with them, like, for one, I've offered to stay on and do like some part-time work for them, even though I'm going to be having a full-time position doing something else. But like, multiple partners have told me is like, look, if for whatever reason this new thing doesn't work out, you'll have a place back here if you want.
That's what you want. That's what you want to hear when you go out. And if you don't hear that when you went out, it's a good chance you screwed something up, either in your exit or in your employment.
So the way I look at it is I executed this one about as well as I could have given the circumstances, where they're happy to have me back and I have good relations with them. And if I ever need a reference from any of them, I can probably get it.
That's also, I have people ask me for references that that I'm like, dude, I wouldn't rehire you. Why are you asking me for a reference? Like, oh man. But look, last couple episodes.
I got one more thing.
Sure, just letting you know, last couple episodes we got cut off at the hour mark. So before we do that, I'll let you get that in there real quick.
So when my mom was on the school board at our school, she talked about how to get rid of a superintendent that you don't like. And she says, if you want to get rid of your superintendent, what you do is you write them the best letter of recommendation known to man.
That's always good. When we have people apply for apartments and they're like, oh yeah, this isn't great, but I have a landlord reference letter. What I tell them is, in New York City, most landlords are not concerned with your landlord reference letter. Reason being, if a landlord wants you out because you haven't paid rent or you're a lousy tenant, why would they write you a negative reference? Because then that decreases your likeliness of finding the next apartment. So you're going to get a very good reference letter. But yeah, I definitely like that advice. Look, on that note, though, we're hitting the hour mark. I don't want to get cut off, so I'm going to part ways. Anything you want to add before we wrap?
I need to fly Maria down here so that way I can just have a personal cheerleader.
Yeah, James, we appreciate the comments, Maria. And thank you guys so much for
and everybody
watching.
else, but Maria, just because you're agreeing with me.
Yeah, she's been very agreeable to the James perspective all evening. But we appreciate you guys who join us on live. Don't forget to follow and also subscribe to the podcast. Subscribe on YouTube. Subscribe on the audio podcast platforms. We just put up last week's episode.
Says, and she's been yelling.
All capitals. All right, guys, we're hitting the hour mark. Thank you for joining. I will see you next time. James, adios.
Later.
All right, that concludes the episode. Thank you for joining. Don't forget, if you have not already, I need you guys to subscribe. It helps us grow the podcast, and we need subscribers to grow the podcast. So thank you, guys, and see you next time.
I like PBR. I just got priced out of it.